Okay, so CO2 gallows gun by Diversi-tech, meant for drain line cleaning. It has this hose that goes on here, but I won't be using it there. For my gauntlet conversion, I simply pop the hood off, revealing the part itself. I found that there's a pin here, so a ballpoint pen can be used to remove the pin quite easily. And then you can just use a sewing needle to push the pin out the rest of the way, being careful not to lose it, of course. You can then pull the brass head off, which has a O-ring to keep the seal, and what I will be doing is basically chopping the big bulky brass part off here and then brazing on a couple small capillaries to bring it to the flamethrower nozzle, which looks a little bit like this. In general, hexagonal shape anyways, minus this piece. But, oh yeah, it also had this red plastic piece in the back as kind of a bumper or something, but it just adds a bit of weight that I don't need. So I'll quickly throw that back together. Oh, and something else I found is that the bottom where the CO2 goes is threaded, and the hose that goes onto here can screw into the bottom, and I will be using that to connect it to a larger CO2 cartridge if all goes well, because once this is in the gauntlet flamethrower box, it won't really be easy to change CO2s. Put the hood back on, snaps in place with these tabs. Oh, that's not good. I left the pin off. Take the hood back off. Just push the pin in place with your fingers and the knife. It takes usually 16-gram CO2 cartridges, but if you put a penny in the bottom of this, you can fit a 12-gram airsoft or paintball CO2 cartridge. It has an O-ring so it prevents over tightening, but anything can happen. I also removed all the stickers just because some parts, like here for example, will have to remain open so that I can push the trigger down when it's on the gauntlet. And as I stated previously, I will be refabricating the brass tip so that it's more flat and can go as such to the nozzle, which would be about here. When it's upright, it doesn't really do the CO2 blast. However, there is a bit of a CO2 blast. But when it would be horizontal most of the time, it has more of the actual dry ice particles near the front where they escape. And upside down, there is dry ice particles. It's not overly cold, but if you have it upside down, you can feel the dry ice particles hit your hand. It does get kind of cold after you keep it there for a few seconds upside down because of the actual dry ice bits. And then if you keep it upside down, it will kind of clog, but a few seconds later, it will not be clogged. And that will be my gauntlet flamethrower. which will obviously win me many contests, because it's much better to have a flamethrower that shoots dry ice, mist, than one that shoots imaginary fire, because mine can also shoot imaginary fire.